Hello, everyone. Welcome to Achieving Success with Olivia Akin. I'm your host, Olivia Akin. Each week, we will discuss the roadmap of achieving your personal and professional success. We give you real-life stories on growing personally and professionally to achieve your life and career goals with the help of some top-notch guests. Today, we are speaking with Jimmy Clare. Jimmy is a powerful keynote speaker, podcast host, an autism advocate who has transformed his own challenges into strengths. Diagnosed with autism and nonverbal learning disorder, Jimmy shares his story to promote acceptance, inclusion, and self-empowerment. As the host of Crazy Fitness Guy Healthy Living podcast, he inspires listeners worldwide with insights on health, wellness, and mental resilience. Jimmy's speaking topics range from embracing neurodiversity and overcoming adversity to using fitness as a tool for mental well-being. Through his work, he motivates others to see their full potential, face their challenges, and pursue self-improvement. With every talk and episode, Jimmy continues to inspire others to achieve success on their own terms. You can find Jimmy on LinkedIn by searching Jimmy Clare or by going to his website, crazyfitnessguy.com. Hello, Jimmy. It's fantastic having you on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited. To start off the show, can you tell me what success means and looks like to Jimmy Clare?
Well, that's a tough decision. Where could I take this? Let's see. Success for me, and my definition of success is being healthy and having an even balanced lifestyle, because I hear too much on social media is like, there's no such thing as a balanced lifestyle. Yes, there is. I've seen it. I felt it. I've lived it. There's some days where it was a little bit uneven, but then I dial it back in.
Jimmy, you've transformed what some might see as an obstacle into powerful tools that also help inspire others. What was the turning point in your life when you realized that your diagnosis of autism and being nonverbal at one point, and those experiences and overcoming bullying can become a source of strength and motivation, not just for yourself, but for people all over the world?
I think that the turning point was when I was in one of my media studies classes in college, and it was like right at the start of the height of the pandemic, and I have great impeccable timing, of course. And I remember my media studies professor, when I told her I was interested in going into public speaking, she said to me, it's like, well, Jimmy, the only way you can do this is go around podcast and being your own podcast host. And I was like, I looked at her like my dog looked at me like I have 6 heads, because holy crap, I was like, okay, I run a website, I write, and I do everything myself. You expect me to do podcasting on top of that? I'm like, there's no in hell no way I can do all of this with it. I was like, what kind of voodoo magic are you suggesting on me? And I'm grateful that she pushed me towards it, because I actually keep track of this, which is kind of crazy, but next year I'm going to be doing this for 5 years and my business for 8 years. I'm like, holy crap, I must be either nuts or I have no life whatsoever. The verdict is still out on that one.
Well, for you, too, it just demonstrates in your example that sometimes you need that push, and sometimes the motivator is not something that we think of ourselves, but someone says, hey, you should do this. And then once you start doing it, over time, it takes on a life of itself, and you get to build so many wonderful things and make such a big impact. You know, I want to also dive into the aspect of how you really highlight autism awareness and your experiences with autism, because a lot of people, whether it's autism or other neurodiversity, mental health, whatever it might be, look at that as maybe I shouldn't talk about it. Maybe I shouldn't lean into it and make people aware of what it can really look like because there is that fear there. What really made you decide having autism is my superpower, and I'm going to share why it's such an amazing superpower instead of looking at having autism and the difficulties you've had through that as a pitfall?
Hmm, I would say I started looking at autism as my superpower because uh, I like to think of my brain as pretty much like pretty much like the internet, pretty much. I can remember, I can remember a lot of things like TV lines on TV shows, TV series, literally word for word. I can remember stuff that I really, really like and pay attention to. Now, if it's something I'm not interested at all, like math or science and that crap, okay, I'm there. It's not all crap, but not my cup of tea. Me and numbers do not go together whatsoever. And but I consider it a superpower because let's just say, well, I have to give this a real life example because uh, uh, and this was actually just happened yesterday for me, which I was really just by impressed myself too. And so my example I'm going to give is I had this ongoing issue with one of my automatic tools for marketing because, I'm only one person. Do you see a marketing team behind me? No, I have a bedroom. Uh, if somebody gave me my own studio and pay me a couple $1 million a year, I'd be grateful. Or even just 1 million, I'll take it. Maybe the new Giants can hire me. I'll be the cheapest person on the team. But anyway, what happened yesterday just happened by accident because and what happened was, and I'm going to go a little nerdy. Basically, there's this thing called RSS feeds or podcasts and whatnot, and my podcast feed did not work with my automation tools, and I'm like, why is everything so red? And it's like it's been happening for months, doesn't go out, doesn't publish anything, and the company that I use got back to me and it's like, you need to use a different feed. And I was like, how can that possibly be? So I just started playing around with the different feed, importing the RSS feed into it, and everything naturally worked. And I was like, okay, I'm really scared. If this all works, and I set up like 12 automations on one platform, 15 on this other on their platform. So if it all works, 500 posts of all different content goes out each month. And I'm like, I even pressed myself. And it's like, but to go back to what your point, my point was, I consider it a superpower because I see stuff differently. I think outside the box, unlike some other people. My college, I've been trying to get, not to name any names, but I've been trying to get a meeting with someone at my college and I'm going to keep the titles out because that will just be a direct indication of what I'm talking about. I've been trying to get a meeting with somebody at my college to have my TED Talk taping on their campus and show case, hey, here's my autistic voice, and it involves inclusion, and yet my college has not given me a time or day or kind of just passed over me like let's just say my school district has over the years, which brought me a lot of triggering points in the last 3-4 weeks in a row. And it's like, I should send them my therapy pills.
I want to dive into that a little bit without hopefully triggering you too much, but I think it's something that is so important for other individuals who are growing up having autism, as well as their family members, on the frustrations that can take place for one who is not like everyone else and needs different accommodations just because they have those superpowers. And I personally look at having different medical disorders, as one might call it, as a superpower because it allows you to see and process things in such a unique way. And a lot of times it gives you the ability not only to leverage it as a superpower, to think differently, to problem solve, as you mentioned, differently, and come up with different or better solutions. It also gives you the superpower to have more bandwidth of empathy, compassion, love, and all these other things where you might not see the biases that other people see and feel because you understand things differently. So I very much see it as a superpower. But for you, when you mention these triggers and being overlooked a lot and not really being paid attention, and you felt that growing up, what were your what was your situation in having to advocate for yourself as or your family advocate for you as someone with autism to really go, hey, my voice matters. This is what I need in any room, whether it was in school or even today.
So growing up, my parents still advocating for me just because, let's just say, I know, let me give the example of right now. What I said about my college and whatnot, that was my filter. Back then, I had no filter whatsoever. I mean, I would say off color filter. I mean, just more, I would probably years ago, let's say around 8, 9, 10 years old, I probably would have said the school's name and point fingers at them, and which is totally legal. Well, unless it's Google, that's fair game. But let's just say that's what I would have done years ago. Now I keep it my college or my school or whatever and keep it under wraps a little bit. And but some I didn't have the maturity level to advocate for myself. I didn't have the right words. I didn't use the right words. I pretty much used a lot of very dark language. Didn't like my dark sense of humor here and there. And I don't mean like depressed sense of humor, but like, for instance, I mean, let's just say having some crazy conversations these last few weeks, not going into any details, but I was like, okay, I feel like something just kind of funny. Well, I thought it was funny, and the people around me thought it was funny too. But if I hear one more piece of this content, I was like, I'm gonna either drive into a brick wall or leave them in the desert somewhere. And people who knew me laughed, but some of my I'll say, well, you're a sick person. I was like, no, I'm not a sick person. And it's like, one, where am I going to go find a desert? But two, it's like, okay, some people don't like my sense of humor. And so I got more along with the adults growing up versus my peers. I've still had friends growing up, but there was only a few people who got to know me for the real me. And now I kind of at a place and point is like, I'll let you in if you get to know the real me. But if you don't want to know the real me, I'll give you a little hi, bye, and I don't really care on them. But my parents advocated for me because I didn't have a filter back then. Now I have a filter. I advocate for myself in my college. Uh, and I pretty much should go up to professors, tell them that I need actually their help with certain things. And I might play 100+ questions if I don't know what they're trying to tell me. Some understand, some kind of look at me like I have 20 different heads, like my dogs. And then And then other times I feel like there's always kind of a disconnect with professors sometimes. But I'm really, I like my current, I really like my professor I get to stay in touch with. Uh, she kind of took me under her wing, became a mentor for me, pushed me past who's the one who got me into podcasting. She's seen my business from I absolutely wanted just to destroy it, and I wanted to throw it away a couple of times, and then here it is booming. And she's like, it went from this that you were working on 90 plus hours a week to here you are now. And I'm like, oh, great. So I stopped working 90 plus hours a week, and it's still booming. And I'm like, great. But I basically I find the advocating part sometimes a little frustrating because sometimes there's a disconnect with professors, but then I find it really important, especially because let's just say my challenges have gotten a little more complicated, especially with my health challenges. I'm a little bit more prone to injury than others because I injured my wrist not 4 weeks ago. And let's just say someone in my doctor's office, they kind of forgot about me. And then something she said to me is like, they left you hanging for 4 weeks. And it's like, yeah, I don't know why. But I basically continue to advocate for myself and try to advocate for others and showcase. And it's like, it's okay to be different. And it's like, it sucks to have a prone to injury body, but I'm like, I basically could let it defeat me, but I just like, how many times I probably injured this wrist over the years? One too many times. And everybody tells me to, Jimmy, well, how do we take some time off? And it's like, I already missed 31 days of karate when I had a freaking hacking cough. And it's like, you think I'm going to just take 31 days off for this? No. And it's like, I have missed a lot of life if I took a day off for this stupid wrist. I mean, it was like both of my hands were broke and whatnot. That'd be one thing, but I still got other body parts for karate. I'll kick. That was sparring really sucked on doing everything left-handed. I'm like, great. Everybody else gets a punch with two. I get one. The frick.
Well, it's one of those things that will also, as you said, you can let it stop you, or it can motivate you to go, okay, now I got to think outside the box and how I could keep doing this, because am I going to sit out the game or be a part of the game? And one thing you mentioned that I think, whether you are struggling with autism or a different neurodiversity issue, or let's be honest, most people sometimes don't have a filter in their life. And sometimes that could be a good thing and an interesting thing. And sometimes it's, no matter who you are, it's like, okay, maybe you should have filtered that a little bit. And you brought up how when you were younger, you just had no filter. And you just said things. And I remember a time when I was younger too, when I was dealing with my epilepsy, I really didn't have that filter, nor did I care. I think there was probably a level of just like, I'm going to say it, as long as it's the truth, right? You don't want to lie, but as long as it was the truth. But for you, how did you, for yourself, work on building that filter where now there's moments where you want to say something, but you process it in your brain and go, okay, I need to filter this a little bit. And how did you hone that skill?
I kind of picked this might sound a little odd, but I kind of picked and choose the spots where I filter. If it's between a doctor and me, I filter. If it's a friend, I filter. I mean, if we're good friends, I might put a little edgy sense of humor in there. If colleague, I filter. If it's Google, not so much. If it's Logitech, I've actually posted on my show multiple times that I'll never ever get a sponsorship from there because I throw their product under the bus. I'm lucky this keyboard does not break because it's made by Logitech. But I mean, I'm not trying to get you in trouble, but I'm just giving you an example.
Mhm. No, you would never get me in trouble. I want your honest and unfiltered response to things.
And so, and to be honest, I do word stuff, make sure people understand where I'm coming from. Like okay, for instance, uh, you know, let's just say I make sure people get my sense of humor. If people don't understand, I put a laugh out loud at the end, knowing that people. So if I post it publicly, people know I'm just kidding and whatnot. Versus he's serious, and it's like, no, I'm not serious. But I can explain to you how my how I got through a lot of all my challenges. I've done I used a lot of sense of humor. I got my dad's sense of humor, thank goodness. Uh, but I use my sense of humor, and one of the things that's been helping me lately, especially this week and last week and the previous weeks that I've just been down and everything, they were just because of the triggering and whatnot. Uh, and by answering so many customer support emails, I was back and forth this week for troubleshooting and everything. I was like, one more person that asked me about my name. It's like, I'm going to use the word Satan. I was like, who are you? Satan. And I was like, I'm sick and tired of it. But so basically, I use humor to get through a lot of roadblocks, barriers to connect with people one-on-one, see what they respond to. If they like it, I keep doing it. I like to an extent. I know make sure to not cross the line. I might get close to the line, but never over it. Like you'll never hear me speak politics because you know what? I've seen too many people and too many stories about people losing friendships and
Mhm.
relationships over politics. And it's like, really? That's sad. And it's like, let's just all agree they all suck.
Well, that's funny too. You say that because that's like one of my rules as well. I will never talk politics. And I had someone reach out for my show and they listed all of these amazing accomplishments, but so many of them was within the Democratic Party. I did this for the Democratic Party. I started this. And I was just like, that's amazing. And no one should take away those accomplishments. But I was like, no matter like our conversation on this platform, it's going to isolate people. And that's the one thing I aim not to do. And whether it's great accomplishments or not, or you're bringing awareness to something, it's it's a muddy zone. And I don't want to touch the mud. So we're just not going to.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and that's the amazing part of being a podcast host, as you know. You get to decide which one of these zones you don't want to touch. Um, and that's powerful. And I think as well, you say you brought up the customer service aspect. Let me tell you, I've been dealing with some customer service aspects myself recently in the past few months. Um, Part of me wants to be unfiltered right now and say the company name. I will say it is a car dealership. Because as everyone listening knows at this point, probably, I have relocated due to my boyfriend being in the military. And the car I have, um, couldn't relocate with me due to the fact that there's no dealership and it's an electric car. And it's a lease. So due to legal reasons, moving it to Juneau, Alaska would be a pain for all. And so I've been trying to work with this company to get out of my lease due to a military move, due to the fact they have no dealerships in the whole state, due to the fact that my lease says that they would pay for all service work, which means when you talk about Juneau, Alaska, they used to put a tow truck and one of their people on a 3-day ferry ride to get here, to get the car, to pick up the car, probably not in the time to get back on the same ferry. So they'd have to wait to then get on the ferry with the truck, with the car, to go fix it and bring it back. And I'm like, you know how much money you would spend just doing that every time my battery dies or I need service? Like, just let me have the lease. And so for me, like when you brought that up, I was laughing because I was like, yes, I just want to like shake someone at that dealership and be like, do you know how difficult you're making this for something that is completely out of my control? And like, you would get so much more service if you were just like, okay, we understand the situation. And if I provided proof from the US Coast Guard over this, I've provided so many documentations and they kind of just don't want to hear it. And I'm like, you just lost a very loyal customer when this lease is up because of this situation. And they do the same thing with me. They're like, oh, what's your name? As they're switching me to 10 people. And I'm like, you're literally saying this call is being recorded and every single person saying they're taking notes. So are the notes not following? Like, why?
You're probably on the
like,
blacklist.
Yeah, I probably am. Someone told me the other day that at this point, like I've given them so much business over the past 6 years, and promoted them so much that someone was like, well, at this point, if you're personally not going to use them anymore, you should use your platform and kind of blast them and use their name. And I was like, okay, I'm not ready to go that deep in, because I do. I do respect the company, and the company and the dealership I've personally used in the past has been amazing. So part of me feels like if I say all that, they will, I will hurt the personal dealership, and I don't want to burn those relationships. But yeah, I look at certain situations and I'm just like, is anyone not smart enough to realize how like financially bad this would be for your own business and like all these other things? But I just went on a rant about this. So let's get back on topic a little bit. I want to talk about how did embracing your fitness and wellness play a role in your own transformation and impact your mental resilience and your approach to overcoming challenges, especially because this is kind of the basis for your podcast and where you focus certain conversations.
Oh, well, I guess for fitness, I pretty much fitness helped me stay grounded, to basically stay grounded, to help me achieve my overall well-being. I've gotten to, let's just say before I got into fitness, when I was seeing a psychiatrist, I was on medication, prescribed medication, but I hated the medication because if you ever saw the movie The Joker, the newer version, not the second one because it blew. I mean, I didn't see the second one either, but my point being, the medication basically made me feel like I'm always happy, and it's like, oh, this feels forced, and I didn't like it because it's like, if I want to be angry, I want to be angry. If I want to be sad, I want to be sad. I don't. And it's like, yes, I wanted to mainly be happy, but I don't want to just be like, I'm always happy all the time. And it's like, what the hell? It's like, there's no way that this is normal whatsoever. And in the back of my mind, I was screaming this, but in the front, I was like, oh, I'm always happy. And I'm like, this does not even sound like me. And for a while, it kind of sounded like, I kind of felt like I was kind of two different people at the same time. Like in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm going to flip my psychiatrist off, and then in the front of my mind is like, everything is perfect and dandy. No. And I finally got off of the medication and I no longer see that therapist for other various reasons. I'm not going to bring that up. But basically, uh, fitness has become pretty much like my me time, my space. Yeah. Basically, friends, family members do not interrupt that time. Unless if it's like a true emergency, like, hey, we got to go rush to the hospital. I chopped my finger off, or heart attack, or a stroke, or something else. Then that's fine. But it was like, can I wait for like 30 minutes? How urgent is this? If it's not urgent, you can wait. And because when I kind of work out like right when I get up in the morning. I mean, it depends on what mornings because I work at karate 3 days a week at night, and then I work at in my own bedroom here, and the space between my desk and my bed is like that. Okay, maybe like this, but uh, and the reason I point that out is because so many people make excuses of I don't have enough space. You have a floor? Yes. Yeah, you can do push-ups. You don't need to jump around. Well, I don't have any dumbbells. Neither do I. I have resistance bands. Come on, guys. If I can flip and do this in a smaller space, I can touch my bed right here. That's how close everything is. And kind of creepy, and I'm surprised I'm not claustrophobic yet. One time, interesting enough, my last time I got an MRI from my spinal stenosis in my neck, which is always fun when well, they always ask you like, are you claustrophobic? I was like, no, not yet.
I'm like, there's going to be a day. There's going to be a day because I've been in so many of those MRIs or like different things. I'm like, there's going to be a day and it's all going to change. And you never know when that day can be. There's been times too for myself, I've gotten to a point where like now, it used to be like heights don't scare me at all. And as I've gotten older too, I'm like, it's getting high. I don't like it. Like, can we go down, please?
I mean, to be honest, there was a few times where I felt that way when I was traveling Japan in September, and there's a few heights that I was kind of nervous about. And I know I don't get nervous about heights, but I was getting, let's just say, due to some knee issues that I was having, not while I was in Japan, but before that, I was like, please hold up knee, please hold up knee. And plus, I was just having uh, other issues like lower back issues as well, so and back pain. So I was like, I don't need to aggravate this more. So I was kind of, it was kind of mostly like a lot of different things. But so the times where it was like a lot of like edges and whatnot, I stay like in the middle of everything just because like this is probably built very sturdy, but I am just not going to do it. And it's like not for a picture. And it's like I'll take a picture from afar. And I'm not, like I said, I'm good with roller coasters. I'm good in elevators as long as it's not the glass ones and you can see everything. I mean, I used to, but it's like I need to be other people in this. But it's like, but by myself, it's like I've seen too many movies where and TV shows where the elevator just stops, and it's like, and especially the one in my dermatologist building where it's like this most quietest elevator. It's like, it's this thing moving. And it's like, I don't like this at all.
Jimmy, I also want to ask you if you could go back and give advice to yourself, your younger self, at the start of this journey, and what would you say? And would you listen to yourself?
Okay, I can't believe you called me old. Thank you so
I
lot.
didn't call you old. I said, you've been on a journey. We're all on journeys. A lot of people would call me very old, but I'm not that old. But I can say I've been on a very long journey in different aspects. Some days are longer than others. So tell me what advice would you give yourself? And again, would you listen?
Well, there's a few pieces of advice I would give myself. The one, I would never start on WordPress ever again. And I would shake myself like all freaking day long. It's like, you idiot, why did you go on WordPress? And it's like, well, my advice, I would have said to myself now, it's like, well, I went on it because I followed everyone else's advice. And I was like, well, that was the first stupid move you did. And then it's like, and that's why you ended up working 90 plus hours for almost a whole entire year until you reach burnout and you wind up banging your head against a wall. And it's like, great idea. And so I would not listen to myself I would listen to myself for that to never do WordPress ever again. Not bashing WordPress, but coming from a person who grew up in a technical family with my dad who used to like run IT and everything when he was working before he retired. He gave me technical, logical help and whatnot. And then my brother stepped in. And then I took it upon myself to learn more than everyone else in my family. And now it somehow bit me in the butt. And now I'm helping everyone else. And it's like, and people's like, you should do this for a living. And it's like, no, just no. And it's like, I despise customer service these days. And it's like, why would I want to go into something I absolutely despise in the first place? That does not sound. So I would not listen to those people's advice. And my other advice for myself would be, I would tell myself, I bought a $49 video AI clipping tool last night just to try. I got 60-day money back guarantee. And it absolutely sucks. And because it's supposed to resize the video, reformat it to fit the screen perfectly. And, I pointed out to customer service and it's like, is we're supposed to do this? And I tell you, and I quote, here's what the person said to me. And I'm going to try to make it as short as possible, but I had to put a little story in here to it. So basically this person said, this is the customer support live chat. He said to me, we do not support live stream videos. And I was like, this video was recorded 4 months ago. And it's like, he's like, we only support video. And it's like, a live stream is a video. And it's like, what the hell is wrong with this person? And it's like, I'm like, oh Lord. And it's like, I'm gonna go return this tool now. I bought it last night and I waited an eternity for the tool to finish the video. And it's like, what the hell did you give me? And it's like, picture us on the screen right now, right? Pretty much, if I was in your position as the host, the guest was cut off. I'm like, that's great. And it's like, I'm going to say, buyer beware, do not buy this crap piece of software ever. I mean, I got this other piece of software that is pretty much the same thing as this tool for $67. And the only thing difference is that one is mobile friendly versus the other. It's like, well, if I wanted another piece of crap, I would have stayed at the same thing.
Well, and that's the thing, even within the podcasting space, and this is a conversation I have a lot when I consult within podcasting, is there are systems out there. People give me that, like, they come back to me with that, right? Oh, I could get this system for so cheap and it'll do it. And I'm like, it will do it. But will it do it well and will it do it right? And how stressed will you be in that process? And those are the questions. Yeah. And those are the questions you need to ask yourself, right? Is at where we are in society now, you can buy a tool for almost everything, right? And we also need to understand that tools are used to help us, not erase us, right? I think that's a big misconception we have, is it then if you have a tool that does this, you don't need to bring someone in to do it. And a lot of the AI things, if you don't tell it exactly what it needs to know, for example, it will do the wrong thing. And so you need someone who's trained, who understands how to plug in the right information to get out what you're looking for. Take the time and space to go back and forth using it. But if you use these tools, they're a good price for a reason, right? So sometimes they're just amazing tools and it's at a great price. You look at Shopify, for example, they are greatly priced to their customers. There's different things that go into them. The apps that they've integrated into Shopify, a lot of them are free, or you can have upgrade options that just kind of give you different offerings or potentially price off things, whatever it might be. But when you look at differences, no matter what it is, you have to decide, okay, am I going to spend the money on this and it's going to be beneficial and XYZ? Or am I going to spend the money on this? And like you said, lesson learned, it's stressful. It's not that much better. Cancel that free trial, before you get charged for it. And that's one thing that we all have to kind of learn in and understand, that sometimes there's things that systems can do seamlessly for us. And there's sometimes you need to bring someone on. And that being said, what's the most unexpected lesson you've learned as the host of your own podcast, as well as speaking to diverse audiences, and how has it influenced your messaging and what you do?
Well, before I answer that question, I just want to circle back real quick of what you said about people being erased. Well, this company should be erased because after what they said to me, and it brings me to this comedian. His name Jim Gaffigan, who said, which was this funny joke he had about Starbucks. He's like, this should be a simple button where you press it, and two guys naturally come out and all just white and just take the annoying person away. And it's like, I want that button. It's like every customer support agent who just annoyed the hell out of me. And it's like, where's the button? And it's like, I don't have the button, damn it. And I told my parents, like, if you could give me one Christmas present, it's like, I want that button. Go find me the damn button, I'll make it. But to answer your question, so for me as a podcast host, I would say, for me, what keeps me going as a podcast host, I would just say, I know, sure. How do I keep going? I like meeting new people. I mean, think about it this way. You're meeting experts in their fields that they're giving you, let's say, I don't know, let's use Joe Rogan as an experience example. Let's say his podcast is like 3 hours long. He's getting 3 hours of expert information for free. Where mine, I give up to an hour, sometimes over an hour, just nobody to book back to back, because I can't do that. I'm just sitting there too long. It's like I'm trapped in my prison cell. I might as well be in a prison cell at the moment. I mean, you have a bed this close to you, and it's like after a while you feel like you're trapped. And then when you have your dogs next to you, I mean, they're not in the room right now, but your room becomes a lot smaller. I mean, two big fat golden, I mean, they're not fat, but two big golden retrievers in your room. It's like, come over and can I have a little space? But how I keep going is finding interesting guests, how like you, just getting to know people, getting more connections to my network. And funny thing is, those people I network with has become some of my mentors. Some of them open me to their network. Some people open more opportunities than I even could possibly fathom. Like one person invited me to their magazine for this month that I had to submit. I mean, I'm writing it. I should have been writing it in October, but then a hacking cough, I didn't want to do squat. I mean, I was still doing work stuff, but I didn't have any thoughts up here. All I kept on thinking is like, my doctor better give me something on. Or it's like, I told him that either you have to, if you're going to torture me, you have to shoot me first.
So, Jimmy, how can people get in touch with you if they want to connect with you?
I would say the best way to connect is go to crazyfitnessguy.com, because between me and Crazy Fitness Guy, there's one too many platforms. In total, there's 80.
That's a lot of platforms.
And that's growing.
Thank you, Jimmy, for all of your insight today.
Thank you.
A few of our key takeaways from today's conversation are, what is your superpower? As Jimmy brought up earlier, his superpower is being able to solve problems differently, see problems in a different light, communicate differently, and understand situations differently through his experiences with autism and what that gave him. So ask yourself whether you are dealing with something personally right now or in the past. What was the superpower that was given to you because of that? As well as sometimes think about who you're filtering in front of. I think we can all agree that 100% of the time, we do not get to just say what we want, even though I would love to just be able to say what I want whenever I want. And so we all need to filter to some level. And so for me, as well as what Jimmy mentioned, he looks at who he's in front of. How much does he need to filter? How does those conversations look like? And that is how he honed his ability to filter, is really understanding how is someone else going to perceive it. It's not about what I'm saying. It's really about how they're going to take that information. As well as fitness can be integrated into anything you're doing in any space. I love how Jimmy brings this up because it is so true. No matter how big, small, the money you have in the bank, you can use fitness to level up your mental game, your physical game, and just build it into your routine. There's small things we can build into our routine every day that when we hold ourselves accountable for them, long-term can make such a big difference, right? Like making our bed every day. There's been stats that if you make your bed every day, you're more likely to become that millionaire, and because you've built in a regimen. Same with fitness. What are all these things that, as Jimmy mentioned earlier, he says, no, this is my time. I'm doing this for me. And unless the house is burning down, unless something major is going on, do not disturb me during this time. And an important aspect of that as well that I love that he brought up in that part of the story is setting those boundaries and saying, no, I need to do this for me. This is what it needs to look like. And please do not disturb me during this time. This was a great episode with our top-notch guest, Jimmy Clare. Thank you for listening and have a successful day.